Hey there, how's it going today? So, this is going to be the second video in the series. I don't know how long the series is going to be. I hope it will just be an ever evolving series that kind of just keeps going. In other words, I give you hopefully new information every week, a little bit of history, a little bit of, you know, experience that I've had, experience maybe that other people have had. I would like to eventually one day maybe have a guest on, maybe have, ask questions out there in the community. Um, but anyway, we're going to go all the way back to September 15th, 1970. That's when I was born. And on that day at 8:10, I was born at 8:10 a.m. in Los Angeles, California. um, I was born with 17 broken bones. Of those 17 broken bones, one of them was my arm, and that's what my arm looks like. You can't really see, but you can see the deformity here. That was one of them. And I've had it looking like that ever since, that day. I was in the hospital for approximately 2 months. And then I was brought home to the house that I grew up in, which, amazingly enough, is a story in and of itself that I will explain later. But I was brought to this wonderful home, to the home of Edward and Gwenna Tilbury. And I got to be careful because I might get emotional. They both have since passed. And yeah, so I was brought home to them. And again, I will go into their whole story about how I came there the first day and so on and so forth. But I have to be in a little bit, maybe I might have to write it out and read it a couple times so I don't get all emotional or whatever. So then after I was brought home, the doctors would say, basically it would tell, my mom to be careful with me, don't just yank him around, and, most of his bones are all healed, and he will break. But one of the biggest things they told her was that he might not live. And that is it. That is something that is told to most parents with babies that are born with osteogenesis imperfecta until they know the actual type of osteogenesis that the child has. So now, I always wonder, does a family need to know right away that their kid may or may not live? Maybe. But if you're not sure, are you really going to take that joy away from them initially? Like, I get it. Doctors want to, doctors are doctors. They deal in, they deal with this all the time. Well, not literally all the time, but they deal with births and deaths and this and that all the time. So giving information, although hard to do sometimes, is still their job to do. Anyway, let's not get into the whole philosophical part of what doctors should and shouldn't do. I have a whole thing about that, and whether or not I agree with them or not. I just think that what was told to my mom was continually told until I got to like 12. So what was happening is I'd go into the doctor, and the doctor would say, "Oh, Jimmy is doing well," and then he would pull her aside and say, "We really don't expect him to live past 3 or 4." And, then I'm 5, and, then we really don't think that he'll live past 7, and all the way up until 12. And then when I got to 12, my mom basically just told the doctor, shut up. She said, I'm done with that. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it isn't, we're just going to deal with it if it does. So let's just cut that crap out and move forward. And so they did. The doctors just moved forward, and here I am today, 55 years old. Am I one of the lucky ones? I you know I don't know for sure. I did have all the teenagers, not just with OI, but some teenagers do have what's called teenage seizures. I did have those for a short time. Broke bones. But yeah. Anyway, so got home. 17 broken bones. I remember the first bone that I actually remember the first bone that I actually broke, because, well, I was one of those daredevil kids. My mom basically treated me like any other baby that she's ever had. And so what I mean by that is she didn't do anything special. Like, she didn't, like, baby me, like, oh, he might break, or he might this, or he might... She just put me on the ground saying, hey, I've got to learn. I got to learn what will happen if I break. And if I break, then I'm going to know sooner, just mentally, I'm going to know what I can and cannot do by just my own trial and error. And while I think that for me, that was a good thing to do, I can't say that I would necessarily offer that to other parents with OI, but I do think one thing: don't baby your kids. It just makes it worse down the road when they're older, and they might not have you all the time. So that is not a thing to say, stop babying your kids. Baby your kids all you want. Do whatever you want to do. It is also not a thing to say, don't listen to your doctors. I'm not saying don't listen to your doctor. Listen to your doctors. But also, use a little common sense. That's all I'm saying. Just use a little common sense. If your child can do things that you would think may hurt them, they're pretty resilient. We're pretty resilient. So, just use a little common sense. Anyway, I remember my first break. I want to say, I think I was like 3 or 4. Now, mind you, I actually didn't break a lot after I was brought home. There was a short period of like 1 or 2 years that I didn't break because I didn't move around a lot. I wasn't one of those kids that got up out of the playpen and whatever. I just kind of rolled around until until one day she couldn't stop me. And sometimes I can't remember. All I remember was I was doing something. Maybe it was jumping on the couch. I think it might have been jumping on the couch. My leg or my foot went in between one of the cushions, and it broke. And that was one of the breaks. I've had several breaks like that where I'm doing something stupid. Early on in my years, I'll tell you a funny story. Early on, I must have been about 7, maybe. No, sorry, I was not 7. I was 11 or 12, going into my first year of junior high. And we had this, I had a buddy of mine that lived down the street, and he had this sort of German Shepherd dog. And I used to like to take him for a walk because I'd use him as like a little mini horse, and he'd pull me along. But he saw something like some little animal or something in the bush that was that way, and yeah, I can obviously I'm that way, and flipping off, and my knee banged on the sidewalk, and I heard it break, and I was like, oh God, and he still kept pulling me along, and I've got a broken leg, and I'm still holding on to the dog because I wrapped the leash around my arm, so he's just pulling me along like, ah! And I finally was like upright, and I yanked on the dog, and Sinbad, his name was Sinbad, and I yanked him, and I unwrapped the arm, and I let him go, and yeah, and I'm stuck there out in the front of my neighbor's yard, and they came running out. What's wrong? Oh, I broke my leg, and anyway, yeah, that was 2 weeks before school. 2 weeks before my very first day of junior high school. So, how did I go to junior high school? I know I skipped a lot of years, but I have to tell you the story. How did I go to school? In a full body cast. In one of those special reclining wheelchairs. And I had like towels to cover me and everything. It was so embarrassing. Like, I was the most embarrassed kid on day one that you could, because I had to like push up and down the halls in this giant cast. And my legs are out like this, and it's just crazy. So, yeah, I thought that was a funny story. So I hope you guys like that one. Anyway, I wanted to make this one short. I will start again early on in my years on the next video. But if you do have any questions or any concerns or whatever, please add them to the comments. And if you like this, please like and subscribe and share the video with lots of people. Okay, thank you so much, and have a great day. I also wanted to let everybody know, because a lot of times it looks like I'm not looking at the camera, when sometimes I am looking at the camera, or I'm not looking at the camera, because like right now I'm looking at the camera, and I'm still looking at the camera. So I have what's called a wandering eye. I can't control bringing them together. So, it just looks like I'm not looking at the camera. They tried to fix it when I was about 7 or 8 years old, maybe 10. Can't remember. Anyway. And they tried to, adjust the eye muscles that hold them together, and they just couldn't do it. They tried like 3 times to pull that out, to pull them together so that I have this sort of straight look. Like, I'm trying to look straight right now, and it is, but I'm not looking at the camera, because as soon as I look at the camera, I can't control it. It goes off to the side. So just wanted to let you guys know that's why it looks like I'm not looking at the camera, but I really am looking at the camera. So, okay. Anyway,